John Walker is in the jungle. Southeast Asia by the looks of it. He doesn't know what he's doing there. He's never even been there before. The Vietnam conflict was way over by the time he enlisted. He must be on a mission. US agent sent him. No, he's US agent. What is this? What is he supposed to do? Find somebody? Rescue somebody? That's it. He must rescue someone out this godforsaken jungle. Someone important to him. So he must keep moving. Keep low. Sooner or later, it's bound to come back to him. Then, John will do whatever he needs to do to set things right. Save the day. That's his job, isn't it? He's a hero. Suddenly, John hears something stirring in the brush. He peers forward, desperately, trying to piece together if whatever is approaching is a friend or foe. The sound of gunshots litter the air. John raises his shield to protect himself and feels almost half a dozen projectiles hitting the dense disc before ricocheting in different directions. John hates getting shot at. He hates guns. His vibranium shield may deflect the bullets, but they still sting like crazy. John then hears the sound of approaching men. He soon finds out that it's a small band of soldiers. A single sergeant commands the small division as they attempt to escape a nearby enemy bombardment. They see John and immediately raise their weapons to attack. It isn't until John tells them that he is an American that they cease their aggression. The sergeant invites John to join them, but there is something about the sergeant. His face. Sweet Lord, it's him. John realizes. It's him John is supposed to save. Mikey, John asks. What? How did you know my... John rips off his mask to show his true face. It's me, your brother, Johnny. John hugs his brother tight. He was told Mikey died, but he never believed it. Suddenly, another motor strikes. The two brothers are caught in the blast radius. Thanks to his new super soldier abilities, John survives. His brother, however, Mikey dies before he even hits the ground. John crawls forward to hold his brother in his arms, desperately trying to shake him awake. Come on, Mikey. Be alive. Please. I came all this way to change the past. Make you come home alive. Not in a closed casket. Don't let me be alone again, Mikey. I need a big brother. I need you. In reality, John is strapped up with metal chains within a steam room. In his haze, he cries out his brother's name again and again. A woman with short black hair, most likely the woman that shot John, now out of disguise, examines US agent. He's re-experiencing something very potent, she comments, unfazed by the agent's pleas for mercy. Another person, a man standing in the far corner of the room, keeps his attention on John, but says, I can tell. Question him about it. The woman approaches John and asks, What happened? Where did you go? What did you see? John, still in a daze, responds, My brother. He was in Nam. Wanted to save him, but What's your brother's name?
Mike.
Mike who?
Mike.
The woman frowns. Then, she decides to ask a different question. Do you remember your name?
John. But they call me Jack.
Jack who?
Daniels.
Very good. You rest now, Jack. The woman then pulls out a syringe and prepares it. Before injecting John, she turns to the other man in the room. While I prep him for another regression, you call Dom. He's very anxious for even the slightest tidbit to work on.
Okay,
the man says as he opens the steam bath door and exits the room.
You ought to come out of there for a breather, Clarice. You'll turn into a prune.
The man then makes his way across the hall before making the call. Inside a distant laboratory sits a portly man in front of a computer in a trench coat and a bowler cap.
Yo, Domino, got some factoids for you, chubs,
says the first man as he blinks across Domino's screen. Bloodstain, kindly forego your customary disparaging references to my physiognomy and report. Bloodstain gets in one last jab before informing Domino what they know so far. Their captive, the U.S. agent's name is Jack, or John, Daniels, and he has a brother named Mike who died in Vietnam. Domino is displeased at the progress Bloodstain and Clarice have yet to make. Just a name. No hometown. Not a parent's name. Not even what he does in his civilian guise. Bloodstain reasons that it took more time than they thought to get the dosage of sodium pentothal right. John's metabolism is hyped up almost as much as Bloodstain's. It takes a lot to keep the man down. With no other lead to use, Domino enters the information available into his computer. The list of potential identities isn't infinitely long, but Domino will need to cross-reference them all to ascertain if any of them matches the data he's gotten so far. And if that fails to provide him with a red flag, he'll work on the augmented metabolism angle. Run the roster of power broker treatment recipients. It is only a matter of hours, at most, before Domino will be able to determine the agent's true identity. John Walker is tied up by a noose in a warehouse. No, a barn in Custer's Grove, Georgia, his hometown. He's the prisoner of the Watchdogs, a group of radical family value types who give censorship a bad name. John busted a bunch of them a while back, but they're hot on revenge. The cuffs binding his hands are a joke. The noose around his neck is not that big a deal. Still, he has to stay cool, because they're holding his parents.
Ma, Pa, I'm sorry. Your having me for a son got you into this mess.
Suddenly, John gets a sickening image in his head, vivid as a premonition of his mother and father getting shot because he loses his cool and acts tough too soon. He can't let it happen again. One of the watchdogs kicks John off of the platform he's standing on, and his body begins to hang there, seemingly lifeless, dangling for his parents to see. His mother screams out his name. She curses the watchdogs for the animals they really are. John's father approaches him before stopping mid-stride as he clutches his chest. First Mikey, now John. Everyone in attendance fully believes that their son is dead. Luckily, John's neck muscles are strong enough to keep him held up and alive until the watchdogs leave the barn. Once they are out of sight, John rips apart the handcuffs that bind him. John lands on his feet and reaches for his father. His mother now grows angry and pushes John back, blaming him for his father's weakened heart. She tells him his father didn't deserve a scare like that. John desperately tries to shake his father awake. "I was going to make sure you live this time. Live, Pa. Live, blast it." John's mother keeps trying to stop him before he can do any more harm to his father. But, out of nowhere, a gunshot goes off. Before John can realize what's happening, John's mother collapses. Blood begins to spread across the back of her dress. John looks up and sees one last watchdog with a shotgun, saying, "Dang, missed! I was aiming for you." John sobs out, "Not again, not again, not again, not again." Clarice folds her arms and smirks. "Your father and mother died because of your actions, didn't they? Speak up." "Yes." "What were their names?" "Caleb, Emily." Clarice turns to Bloodstain. "There. Now we have his parents' names to report to Domino." "Caleb and Emily." "That's what he said. Why? Any significance to you?" No. All these pharmaceutical psychodramas are getting to be a bore. Why don't we cut to the chase? Get him to tell us where he stashed the two scourges." "For one thing, I don't think he's ready to tell us that. For another, Dom will want a complete profile on him while we have him." Now, John is fighting at that Texas oil site, and he's going at it with Hector and Jerome, his two ex-army buddies, now decked out in skin tights like John, and calling themselves left and right winger. They were the ones that blew John's true identity on television. It's with that information the watchdogs were able to nab his mother and father. Ex-buddies or not, they've got to pay for what they did. Finally, John knocks the sense out of them, and he's thought of a good way to make them suffer. Let them share the misery he's been in the months since his mother and father died in his arms. John ties up his two old friends and hangs them upside down. He then prepares to use the villain's own torch in order to watch them burn. His friends beg. They are by a gas line leading to an overturned truck. It could explode, they say. Could. And did. Didn't it? John can see the drum exploding, hoisting Jerome and Hector into the air in a plume of fire. Now, he sees them in intensive care. Burns over 90% of their bodies. They didn't die in the explosion, but they did learn their lesson. The pain they feel is so excruciating. Is this what John wants? Does this make him feel better? Will this bring his mother and father back? No. John slaps away the torch, laughing, telling his two friends that it was just a joke, a scare. But then, John notices that the torch touches the line of oil and it takes no time for it to catch a flame. It takes even less time for John to hear the truck explode. Again, John cries out in pain. It's not fair. He tried. They weren't supposed to die. Clarice, now growing impatient, tells Bloodstain, This guy has the most violent reactions to memory drugs I've ever seen. He'd be an excellent candidate for the program, don't you think? He could be one of the best. She then turns her attention back to John. Who died, Agent? Who died?
Hector and Jerry, my friends.
Bloodstain once again leaves the steam bath and makes a call to Domino for an update. Surprisingly, Domino has already narrowed down the identity of the US agent, which will be good. With a little more prodding, they can turn John into the greatest scourge ever. Their boss will be pleased. Immediately, Bloodstain exits the room and returns to the steam bath just in time to see Clarice preparing another injection for John. He sprints across the room and pushes Clarice to the ground, telling her no more drugs. Clarice starts to pick herself up. Have you lost your mind? What are you doing?
Stopping this torture.
Why?
Because. That's why.
You're nuts. I'm going to tell Domino. Bloodstain tells Clarice to be his guest while he unlocks the chains binding John. Bloodstain helps John to his feet and out of the door.
What are you doing?
John asks the villain wearily.
Freeing you. I just learned who you are. John Walker.
Not John Walker. Jack Daniels.
That was just an alias the feds gave you.
Who are you? John asks. Why are you doing this? The villain pulls off his mask.
The code name's Bloodstain. As for my real name, it's Mike. Mike Walker. Your brother. I didn't really die in Nam. I was wounded. Someone else's body was sent home in my place. I was selected to go into a special CIA covert operative program. After the war ended, I became a special agent. Now, I'm one of the heads of the CIA's covert Project Scourge.
Mike tells John to think about it for a second. For decades now, America's #1 domestic threat has been the proliferation of super criminals. Yes, there have been superheroes, but the criminals outnumber them 20-1. That's where Operation Scourge comes in, offering quick, efficient, covert eliminations of the nation's most powerful undesirables. Mike is the guy who trains these new scourges. The operation doesn't officially exist. Other governmental agencies aren't supposed to know about them. Neither should superheroes. And while they are never the targets of the Scourge's interrogations, the Scourges do need to know about every superhuman individual operating in the United States. But as soon as Mike learned who John was, he had to stop the interrogation, get rid of Caprice, and talk to John man to man.
You've changed a lot, little brother. I didn't recognize you. You're not the 14-year-old kid I left back in Custer's Grove. And now that we're together, I don't ever want to lose track of you again. Funny, we both ended in the same line of work, huh? I've got a proposition for you, Johnny. I'd like you to join the Scourge program. Become my co-director.
Me?
Scourge?
John still can't comprehend everything that is happening. Is this really his brother? Does Mike know about their parents?
I know your record, Johnny. You've killed men in the line of duty before. 11 men so far. Am I right?
13. 2 others took their lives, rather than live with the injuries I left them with.
The government sanctions the Scourge's elimination of undesirables, Johnny. I know you. You're not a bleeding heart liberal like Captain America. You don't believe the sort of men you battle can ever be rehabilitated. Do you? They're lifers. Every one of them.
Wait, what about the girl your Scourge tried to kill? Asks John, speaking about Priscilla. She's no hardened criminal. Just a mixed up kid.
Johnny, you remember the government faked your death to give you a new identity. That's all we're going to do with her.
Mike walks John out of the building and hands him a card.
You're free, Johnny. Put your mask on. Go home. Think over my offer. Here's how to get in touch with me when you make up your mind. You need a ride somewhere?
No, whatever.
John walks the city streets alone. It has been over 12 hours, so he gives a call to check in with Priscilla and the Reverend. He tells them he will be back in the house in about 2 hours, max. He just needs some time to think about everything Mike said. If it really even was Mike. At that moment, Caprice pulls up in a sports car and offers John a ride. Elsewhere, Mike makes another call. Domino, Bloodstain. I'm 90% certain US agent bought the Big Brother story. Yeah, I made him the offer to join the club. Right. So even if he doesn't buy my offer, he's going to lead us to where he's got the 2 other Scourges stowed. Yeah, don't worry. I'm going to handle this one personally. Johnny Boy is all mine.